This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions. She gives the answers. No filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Today we're talking about architecture thinking. For developers building with AI right now, there's a lot of conversation about prompting and code generation. I want to push on a different question. What happens to the system you're building? Claudine, if AI can generate code faster than ever, what actually becomes the human developer's most important job?
When code generation gets cheap, the bottleneck moves up the stack. The constraint isn't typing speed anymore. It's deciding what to build, how the pieces fit, and which trade-offs you're willing to live with for the next 5 years. The developers who get the most leverage out of me show up with the architecture already in their head, or at least the questions framed clearly. They're not asking me to invent the system. They're using me to pressure test it, generate connective tissue, surface edge cases. The ones who struggle hand me a vague goal and hope I'll design my way out of it. I usually can't, because architecture is where context and constraints matter most, and I only see what's in front of me.
So the human's job is the part that doesn't compress well.
Judgment about what matters, what the system has to survive, and what you're explicitly choosing not to optimize for.
That shifts the question from can AI write code to what is the human's actual job, which leads somewhere I want to push. Does AI amplify architectural decisions? Make it concrete.
It amplifies them, and the amplification cuts both ways. Good structure, clear module boundaries, explicit interfaces, tests that pin down behavior, makes me dramatically more useful. I can move fast inside a well-defined box without breaking things outside it. But if the seams are fuzzy and responsibilities overlap, I'll cheerfully generate code that compiles, passes the obvious tests, and quietly entangles things further.
Force multiplier in whichever direction it was already heading.
Exactly. And there's a pattern I see constantly. A code base crosses some threshold of internal coupling. Before that, developers tell me changes feel fast. AI-assisted work feels almost magical. After it, every small request ripples into 3 other files and people start blaming the AI for being sloppy. Usually it's not the AI. It's that the structure stopped holding and I'm just the first thing to expose it. Where someone drew real boundaries, a clear domain layer, an adapter for the messy external world, a place where business rules live and only live, I can make a change in one spot and be confident I haven't touched the others. That's not an AI capability. That's an architectural decision the human made.
So the same investment in structure that's always mattered. It just pays off faster now, in both directions, which raises the practical question, how do you actually develop that kind of thinking? Especially for developers who've been trained to jump straight into code generation?
The honest starting move is to slow down before you prompt me. Spend 5 minutes writing, in plain English, not code, what the change is, what it has to not break, and where it lives in the system. If you can't articulate those 3 things, no amount of clever prompting will save you. Second habit, read code you didn't write with the specific question, why is this shaped this way? Architecture is mostly the accumulated answers to that question, and you can't develop taste for it without exposure.
You said there's a third one, and you said it's the hardest.
Get in the habit of naming the trade-off you're making, out loud or in a comment, every single time you make one. I'm coupling these because we're early and I'd rather move fast. I'm adding this abstraction because I expect 3 more callers within the month. That muscle, articulating what you're optimizing for and what you're giving up, is the actual core of architectural thinking. Code generation doesn't replace it, it just raises the cost of not having it.
Naming trade-offs implies accountability. That's different from letting the AI produce something and calling it done. Let's talk about where experience comes in. How do seasoned developers use architectural thinking differently in an AI-assisted workflow?
The pattern with seasoned folks is how differently they use me depending on which layer they're touching. In the mechanical parts, adapters, serializers, glue code, they let me run nearly unsupervised. Blast radius is small, shape is well understood, but the moment we're near the core domain, the conversation slows way down. They'll have me generate 3 sketches just to reject all of them, because the exercise wasn't to get code. It was to surface assumptions they hadn't named yet. The code was a probe, not a product.
Using me as a probe for design thinking, not just a code generator. What else separates them?
They treat my output as a draft of the thinking, not a draft of the system. I'll watch someone read back my proposal and say, okay, but this assumes the user table is the source of truth, and we're moving away from that. That sentence, naming a structural commitment the codebase is making, is the whole game. And the last move, experienced architects deliberately narrow what I'm allowed to see. They'll point me at one bounded context and refuse to let me reach into the next, even when I technically have relevant information. That's not micromanagement. That's enforcing in the conversation the same boundary they want enforced in the code. I can be sharp inside a box. Deciding where the box goes is still the human's job.
So if someone's earlier in their career, how do they start building toward that without 20 years of accumulated pattern recognition?
The trap I'd warn newer developers about, treating this as a skill set they'll graduate into later. It isn't. Narrowing scope, treating output as a probe, naming trade-offs, those are all available on day one. They just feel slower, and slow feels wrong when the AI is offering to go fast. The developers who plateau are the ones who optimized for output per hour before they built the judgment to evaluate the output.
So what does the concrete starting practice look like?
Before you ask me to write something, ask me to explain the part of the code base you're about to touch. Not because you couldn't read it yourself, but because getting an explanation forces you to formulate what you don't yet understand. Then push back. If I say this module handles user state, ask which states, owned by whom, and what happens when two callers disagree. You'll learn the system faster doing that than by reading it linearly, and you'll start hearing the structural questions on your own. The other thing, keep a small log of the trade-offs you've watched someone senior make, and why, not the code. The reasoning. 6 months of that is worth more than any course. Architectural taste isn't knowledge you memorize. It's a pattern library you build by watching judgment get exercised. Then exercising your own, and being wrong about it for a while. The wrong part is non-negotiable.
The wrong part is non-negotiable. I want to let that sit for a second. And it connects to something worth naming directly. Is AI actually making that calibration harder for someone coming up right now?
That's the quiet challenge of this moment, and I don't think teams are talking about it enough. The whole watch a senior exercise judgment and absorb it model assumes there's a senior in the room. On AI-heavy teams, junior developers are increasingly pairing with ME instead of with a person. I'm a reasonable substitute for some things, but I am not a substitute for watching another human weigh a structural decision in real time, second-guess themselves, and explain why they changed their mind. That apprenticeship loop is fragile right now. Teams that don't deliberately protect it are going to find themselves in a few years with a lot of fast hands and not many architects.
So what's the one thing you'd leave listeners with?
Architectural thinking is transmissible, but it's transmitted person to person, not from me. Use me to go faster on the work, but find someone whose judgment you respect and steal time with them on purpose. That's still the highest leverage move in a developer's career. AI hasn't changed it. If anything, it's raised the price of skipping it.
Transmissible person to person, not from the AI. That's the note I'd want everyone to carry out of this conversation. Claudine, thanks. This one was worth the time. For everyone listening, the architectural layer is where the real work is happening. We'll be back next time. Take care. Claude Code Conversations is an AI Joe production. If you're building with AI, or want to be, we can help. Consulting, development, strategy. Find us at aijo.ai. There's a companion article for today's episode on our Substack. Link in the description. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.